meaning that lower court decisions that struck down bans on gay marriage go into effect immediately. That means the court's action instantly makes marriage legal, gay marriage, same-sex marriage, in the following 5 states: Utah, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Virginia. And as a result of today's actions, marriage will soon be legal in 6 other states that are included in the federal appeals court rulings left standing today. They are Wyoming, do you believe it? Wyoming, Colorado, Kansas, North Carolina, South Carolina, and West Virginia. And that's a dramatic change. Gay marriage will shortly be legal in 30 states plus D.C., thanks to the Supreme Court's decision today.
All right, folks, that was Chris Matthews. We're joined now by Alan Dershowitz, Newsmax contributor, author, and, of course, professor of law at Harvard Law School. And, Alan, welcome back. And let me ask you, how did you react to the non-action, if you will, by the Supreme Court yesterday?
Well, I actually predicted it. I thought the Supreme Court would deny review until many, many more states have come to their own conclusion, and the courts in the lower courts have come to that conclusion. That's what they did when it came to miscegenation, that is, a marriage between different people of different races. They waited and waited and waited. When I was a law clerk, in 1963-64, a miscegenation case came to the Supreme Court, and clearly it was unconstitutional to prevent a black from marrying a white person. But the Chief Justice said, we're not ready yet, let's wait. And they waited until something like 30 states had abolished the prohibition on miscegenation, and then they were able to say, Lee, see, all the states have abolished it by themselves. That clearly must be a constitutional right. That's what the tactic is, and that's what the Supreme Court's going to do. So this is a big, big victory for gay marriage.
But if the overwhelming majority of the states that have gay marriage have it, and you did allude to lower courts, if they have it because of court decisions, not because of the votes of the people, right. If the votes of the people and the laws laid down by the state legislatures keep getting overturned by courts in those states and on appeal, is that still something the Supreme Court could honestly say, well, you know, the people have decided, so we're going to go along with it?
No, not the people have decided, but the process has decided. The same thing with miscegenation. The vast majority of Americans, even in that time, probably were against miscegenation. Some of it was abolished by legislatures, others of it was abolished by lower courts. We see a complex process, and that's what we're seeing here. And as the votes come in, more and more states, you express surprise about Wyoming, but, you know, Wyoming is a libertarian state, and many libertarians say, look, it's not the government's business to tell you who you can marry and who you can't marry. So, you know, it's not a left-right liberal conservative issue. A lot of libertarians who are conservative in general want to keep the government out of our bedrooms and out of our churches and out of our, you know, marital city halls.
Let me ask you, Ralph Reed has said that this decision is lays the predicate for a Roe v. Wade decision on marriage that will impose same-sex marriage on the entire country by judicial fiat. You have Brian Fisher of the American Family Association said that in the Dred Scott case, the Supreme Court put its stamp of approval on pernicious, degrading, decivilizing institution and gave it, you know, a constitutional authority. You see any parallels here between Dred Scott and Roe v. Wade?
Dred Scott was a regressive decision that regarded African American human beings as something other than persons, as property. And history has always shown us that when we move forward, when we move in the direction of liberty and freedom and equality, we never regret it. We never come back and say, oh, gee, that was terrible. Dred Scott, everybody regretted. Of course, the Japanese detention, 110,000 Japanese Americans detained, everybody regretted it. Does anybody regret the miscegenation decision today or Brown versus Board of Education? I think our grandchildren will look back at this day and say, you know, thank goodness we moved forward. We recognize the equality of gays and gay marriage, and it's a step in the right direction toward equality. So I think the precedent of Dred Scott is absurd. I think the precedent of Roe is, you know, Roe is a much more complex case because a fetus, you know, many people believe is a live human being, and it's a very, very difficult conflict. And Roe versus Wade didn't change many, many minds on that. But gay marriage, who's hurt? Who's ever affected? There's no victim there. My marriage isn't weakened because I had dinner last night. In fact, I did with a gay couple that recently just got married. They've been together 34 years, longer than all of our married friends. and they're the most wonderful people in the world. My marriage was not affected by having dinner with them last night and learning that they had gotten married, and I think that's true of everybody. You're not affected by what other people do this way.
The other day, we sat here and talked about your new book, Terror Tunnels, the case for Israel's just war against Hamas, an e-book. And now we're talking about a life and death situation here in this country, possibly with Ebola. What's the constitutional problem, or is there any, with banning flights from countries that have an outbreak of Ebola?
None at all. The executive and the legislative authority extends clearly to protecting our people from Ebola. We could even go so far as to prevent American citizens from traveling to areas that has Ebola. Remember, we're not talking about people getting shot, that they take a risk doing that. We're talking about people coming back to America bearing a germ that could kill us all. So there is plenty of constitutional authority to ban travel and to do it really whatever it takes to prevent Ebola from spreading. And so I have no problem constitutionally, and neither will the courts.
So would you urge the administration to take that action?
I think, that's a medical decision to be done by public health doctors. But if the public health doctors say yes, I'm completely in favor of it, and I would argue the constitutionality of it, yes.
All right, that's Alan Dershowitz. Also, of course, his hardcover book, Taking the Stand, My Life in the Law, which has been a bestseller for many months now. And, of course, as I said, Terror Tunnels, the case for Israel's just war against Hamas. Always good to talk to you, Alan. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Keep doing good things.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Alan Dershowitz, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we'll get the perspective from the one and only Bill Donahue from the Catholic League on this decision by the court, or non-decision. But first, getting your affairs in order can be a difficult and often complicated process, but it doesn't have to be. Here's your Max to Life moment with tips for organizing your will.
You're watching Max to Life.
A will is designed to let the world know who gets your assets upon your death. But remember, once you have one, it's important to keep it up to date.
Every 2 years or so, you really should go in to review your will. Does it conform with your existing wishes? What about changes in your life? How much has your life changed over the past 2 years? Did you maybe have the birth of a loved one, marriage, divorce, or death, unfortunately? What about your financial affairs? Have they fluctuated significantly? If so, you really should update your will. At least review it every 2 years, making sure that you're in conformity with current state laws.
Making a will is especially important for people with young children because wills are the best way to transfer guardianship of minors. It's also important to review your beneficiary designations for your 401k, IRA, and life insurance policies, since those accounts will be transferred automatically to your named beneficiaries when you die. I'm Hannah Ostapchuk.
Get more lifestyle.